Welcome to Bad Gear, the show about the world's most hated audio tools. There has been a lot of Roland bashing on this channel lately, and in spite of the fantastic pieces of gear this legendary manufacturer has given us over the decades, even die-hard Roland fans will have to agree with some of the points made. Today we are going to talk about the JD-Xi, and it seems to be one of the more promising Roland instruments of the post-2000 era. This 2015 best of what the brand had to offer at the time was and still is sold as an interactive crossover synth. Without a doubt, the JD-Xi is a hot contender for the most ambitious crossover in history. Analog, digital, keyboard, sequencer, vocoder, you name it. This being said, a well-trained eye can immediately spot at least 3 reasons why this jack-of-all-trades does not only get good reviews from literal and figurative keyboard warriors. Let's take a closer look. At the first glance, the Roland JD-Xi has everything and the kitchen sink, and is of course ticking all the boxes. A respectable amount of hands-on controls, 2 digital synth voices based on Roland's supernatural engine with standard waveforms, Supersaw, and boatloads of nice PCM samples. A sample-based drum machine featuring an unpretentious collection of all-time classics and some more contemporary stuff. It wouldn't be a crossover without the fully analog monophonic synth.
Digital synth number 1 can be transformed into the aforementioned vocoder, which unfortunately deactivates the analog voice.
There's nothing wrong with the Arpeggiator, and you can garnish your sounds with the Multi-FX unit, which sounds fine, but I didn't find a way to set up individual sends for the single voices. It seems to be on-off with global levels. Taking a closer look at the front panel reveals 3 of the possible deal breakers for potential JD-Xi players. 1. The labeling is insurance policy fine print in red on black, which is hard to read for elderly people like me. It looks better than the Type O negative green and black design of the IRA range though. 2. Although there are more knobs than on a, let's say, microcorg, many parameters are still locked away in the evil parallel dimension that is the JD-Xi's menu structure. Speaking of the microcorg, let's address the elephant in the room and possible deal breaker number 3, the mini keys. Not much of an issue for me as my hands are smaller than those of 85% of US men. If you want to go beyond minor tweaks of the mostly tasteful preset sounds, you will have to menu dive like there's no tomorrow, or use a non-official software editor. Every sound of the partial-based digital synth engine offers a D110-worthy depth of parameters, including settings for ring modulation, analog feel, and PWM.
As you can tell, I'm happy with that.
The built-in drum machine is similarly complex with individual FX and filter settings for every single drum instrument, and you can create more unorthodox sounds by combining multiple layers. Compared to the super versatile 128 voices of digital polyphony, the monophonic analog synth is more minimalist but totally usable. I was a bit disappointed with the step sequencer. It is more of a sketchpad than a complete live performance and arrangement tool. Favorite is like a quick dial for programs and comes in handy when playing live. There's 5-pin MIDI, the keyboard can act as a USB audio interface, I wouldn't mind multiple outputs, and the great international community of JD-Xi users offers a huge amount of tutorials and other content. This content is highly appreciated as the 2 user manuals are fully up to Roland standards. Build quality is plasticky, but the synth will probably last forever, and prices are around 500 planetary credits for a new unit, which translates to $5 billion on Reverb for a model in OK condition. I'd like to thank my dear friend Matthias Jakisic for lending me his unit. The JD-Xi seems like a feature-laden and nice-sounding instrument for live and studio work. Aside from the obvious, can it be that Roland got it right this time? You have already heard the Roland JD-Xi in our little intro tune. That went almost too well. I wanna know if the non-TR drum kits are any good. Cool! The analog section provides vintage tones with noble understatement, the drums are in your face yet tasteful, and the tonal variety of the digital synth is much to my liking. I would have to make use of the favorite functionality to get more variation into the arrangement though. Let's use the JD-Xi as the centerpiece of a more complex setup and give the Arpeggiator and Vocoder a go. This shows some of the unit's limitations. Not being able to use the analog voice in combination with a vocoder is a bummer, and some compromise has to be made when sequencing external gear. That being said, MIDI is tight and the digital synth goes well with external effects. Classic Roland tones feel at home in many genres. I wanna know how well they hold up in this trans-temporal law enforcement X-Wave straight from the land of Ro. The JD-Xi makes use of many tried and tested Roland concepts and borrows some from other manufacturers too. The all-in-one groovebox approach of the MC range, the state-of-the-art digital synth engine that can be found in more upscale instruments like the Phantoms and Integras, and, last but not least, the compact keyboard shape of the Microcorg or Mini Nova. And it seems to work. I have to admit that I find it very hard not to like the JD-Xi. Is it perfect? Hell no! Programming sounds can be tedious, the sequencer seems unfinished, and the keyboard's surface attracts fingerprints like a toddler's first iPad. Nevertheless, the little keyboard punches above its weight. Pros will like the versatile digital voices and abundance of sample waveforms, while beginners get an easily approachable instrument and can brag about owning a real analog synth. Thanks for watching and see you next time! Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to like, subscribe, become a patron and leave a comment what other kind of gear you would like to see and hear on the show. Thanks to all my patrons for supporting the channel and welcome to the monthly Vocoder shoutouts. We are going to start with Tier 4, thanks for watching, see you next time, and the Vocoder of my choice today is the Behringer Virtualizer DSP 1000p with an Novation SIO as a carrier signal. We're going to use the Behringer C1. The JD-Xi vocoder is pretty nice. Let's find out if it's worthy of Tier 5 and 6.
Size a block band. Florian Mars Studio Deep Space 199.
Christina Yanni asked for something that sounds like an utterly unintelligible transmission from the Gorbex cluster in Sector Savon Clarix, so I'm gonna chain the two vocoders together. Again, thank you so much for supporting the channel. See you next month.